This documentary was not made to attack the religious community, and I ask you use this information in this documentary to do your own research. According to Muslims, they say that the Quran is a perfect book from Allah, and also states in Surah chapter 85 verse 21 to 22. In fact, this is a glorious Quran recorded in a preserved tablet, but that's far from the truth, and this short documentary is going to show you why.
Here goes.
I don't need a reason. In the Quran, chapter 16, verse 103, it basically states that the Quran is written in straight Arabic.
Because it's obvious when you look at Dr. Jeffries in the 1930s, so it's almost been around almost 80 years. This book has been around over 80 years, in fact, and yet Muslims still will not admit that this book, the Arabic book, actually is in many languages.
So basically the Quran isn't straight Arabic. You've been lied to. And there's like over 100 foreign words in it. And the reason for that is because they've stolen stories from all different sources to remix their own. And I'm going to show you some foreign words in the Quran that shouldn't be there.
Well, it seems obvious the reason why they didn't is because these are all borrowed stories. And we'll see that as you continue on. So we have Egyptian words, we have Akkadian words. What about Assyrian words? He talks about Assyrian words. The word Abraham, sometimes recorded as Ibrahim. The Arab equivalent would be Aburahim. But that's not what's written in the Arabic. You would have thought it would have been. And there's lots of Persian words, which now makes sense because the Persian area is where the Quran was mostly written. It came out of the Persian area. And when you look at some of the words that it's borrowed, the word like Harut and Marut are Persian names for angels. The word Sirat, that's that bridge, that pathway, the path that goes from earth over into paradise. The Arab equivalent would have been Al-Tariq. So why didn't the Quran use Al-Tariq, which is the same word, the equivalent in Arabic? The name Hur, which means disciple, has an Arab equivalent, Tilmith. The word Jinn, meaning good or evil demons, has the Arab equivalent, Ruh. And then also Firdaus, meaning the highest or seventh heaven, has the Arab equivalent, Jannah. So you can see in every one of these cases there was an alternative. They could have used their own Arab word.
Bear in mind, this is meant to be a divine book written in Arabic, but all through the book you can find foreign words which are not meant to be there. The only assumption you can get from that is that they've been stealing stories from all different sources. On to more contradictions in the Quran. In this chapter of the book, chapter 2 verse 29, it basically states that the earth was created first and then it was the heavens. But when you read on to chapter 79 verse 27 to 30, the book basically states that heaven was created first and then it was earth. So which one was it? On to the next contradiction. In the Quran chapter 6 verse 14, it states that Muhammad was the first Muslim. But when you read on to chapter 7 verse 143, it states that Moses was the first Muslim. So who was the first Muslim? Do they not consider the Quran with care? Had it been from other than Allah, they would surely have found therein much discrepancy. And there is many more contradictions in the Quran and foreign words, according to Arthur Jeffrey, a Protestant Australian professor of Semitic languages from 1921. Now in this part of the documentary we are going to look into pedophilia in the Quran and the age of which Aisha was when she got married to Muhammad. According to John Esposito, Aisha was married to Muhammad in Mecca in 624 CE after Hijrah to Medina and the Battle of Badr. Several scholars interpret this to indicate that she reached puberty at this age, although her age at this time is the subject of dispute. Now there's a book called the Bukhari, and it's got statements in there from Aisha herself and other people that believe to have lived of that time. This is a section out of the book narrated by Aisha, and it states that the Prophet said to her, "You have been shown to me twice in my dream. I saw you pictured on a piece of silk and someone said to me, this is your wife. When I uncovered the picture, I saw that it was yours. I said, if this is from Allah, it will be done. But you read here, titled Married to Muhammad, it states, the idea to match Aisha with Muhammad was suggested by Khawla bint Hakim after the death of Muhammad's first wife, Khadija bint Khawlid, if I'm pronouncing it right. After this, the previous agreement regarding the marriage of Aisha with Jubayr ibn Mut'im, again if I'm pronouncing it right, was put aside by common consent. Wait, wasn't Aisha shown to Muhammad twice in his dreams and was told that she'll become his wife by Allah? Shit just don't make no sense. But let's read on. Abu Bakr, which was Aisha's father, was uncertain at first as to the property or even legality of marrying his daughter to his brother. Muhammad, however, responded that they were brothers only in religion. So basically, according to these two accounts, what I can take from this is allegedly Muhammad lied to Aisha about seeing her in his dreams and she was chosen to be his wife. And plus Aisha was already chosen by another grown-ass man before Muhammad, which means this is looking like it was a norm. And for anyone that still has doubts that Aisha was underage when she married Muhammad, in the Bukhari volume 5 hadith 236 it states, Khadija died 3 years before the Prophet departed to Medina. He stayed there for 2 years or so and then he married Aisha when she was a girl of 6 years of age. And he consumed that marriage when she was 9 years old. And the next statement that I found that seemed to be very weird, titled Relationship with Muhammad, it states, various traditions reveal mutual affection between Muhammad and Aisha. He would often just sit and watch her and her friends play with dolls, and on occasions he would even join them. Occasionally they were close enough that each was able to discern the mood of the other.
الزواج قسمان. القسم الأولاني عقد قران، إجراء عقد القران، هذا شيء. والبناء يعني الدخول على الزوجة هذا موضوع آخر. فأما إجراء العقد فهذا أمر يعني ليس له سن معينة في إجراء العقد. يعقد على، حتى يمكن أن يعقد على فتاة عمرها سنة زمان، مش 9 سنين ولا 7 سنين ولا 8 سنين. هذا مجرد عقد إيجاب وقبول بين، بس الولي يكون هنا هو الأب لأنه ولي مجبر فتصير زوجته. لكن هل الفتاة أو البنت محل للدخول أم لا؟ طبعا وكم سن الدخول المناسب؟ هذا يختلف باختلاف البيئات وباختلاف الأعراف عند الناس. ممكن في اليمن كانوا يزوجوا من 9 و10 و11 و8 و13. في بعض الدول تزوج من 16. في بعض الدول أصدرت قوانين ألا يتم الدخول إلا بعد 18 عام. ولنا في رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قدوة حسنة، حيث عقد على زوجته عائشة وكان سنها 6 سنوات وبنى عليها، يعني دخل عليها صلى الله عليه وسلم.
There's no denying that Aisha was underage when Muhammad married and had sexual intercourse with her. Now I'm going to show you some more verses out of the Bukhari that proves it wasn't only Muhammad that was marrying little girls. In this verse, 5080, in the Bukhari, it states, when I got married, Allah's messenger said to me, what type of lady have you married? I replied, I have married a matron. He said, why don't you have a liking for the virgins and for fondling them? Jabbar also said, Allah's messenger said, why didn't you marry a young girl so that you might play with her and she with you? Most Muslims will try and defend Muhammad marrying a little girl by saying stuff like, Aisha was very intellectual and had knowledge in various subjects, plus she contributed in spreading Muhammad's message. But that does not take from the point that Aisha was only a little child. Now I want to show you a modern view on pedophilia and what it does physically and emotionally to a child. In the modern world, an adult engaging in sexual activity with a minor may be considered child sexual abuse or statutory rape depending upon the local age of consent. Age of consent laws exist because minors are considered incapable of meaningfully consenting to sexual activity until they reach a certain age. Prepubescent and adolescent children are not socially equals to adults, and abusers emotionally manipulate the children they victimize. These laws aim to give the minors some protection against predatory or exploitive sexual attraction with adults. And I would like to state, not only little girls were getting molested, so was little boys. And I'm going to show you in the Bukhari where it allows for this to happen.
What does it say? It say, as for whomever plays with a boy, if he inserted it into him, then he shall not marry his mother. This is in the book of Bukhari. This is in the same book that I just read out of, where Muhammad had sex with a 6-year-old. Okay, now let's stay in this book because we're dealing with these is marriage rules. So what Islam says is that if you insert your penis into a boy, you're not allowed to marry his mother. It don't say you can't insert your penis in the boy. It just say if you do, you can't marry his mother. Now let's go into chapter 52, verse 24. It says what? And they shall have boys who walk around among them as if they were hidden pearls. Come on, man. Now let's read, okay, the justification of homosexual pedophilia, okay, in Islam. Okay, now this right here was allegedly the words of a female prophet in Islam who caught a man kissing a little boy. Now it says what? Now this is translated out of the book titled Early Sufi Women. Okay, now what does this say? It says, one day Al-Rabiah, aka a woman, saw Al-Qwazi, aka a man, kissing a young boy. Do you love him? She asked the man. Yes, the man said. To which she replied, I did not imagine that there was room in your heart to love any other than God, the glorious mighty. Now Rabbah was overcome at this time and fainted. This is the man. Now once he awoke, he said, oh, on the contrary, this is mercy that God the Most High has put into the hearts of his slave. And so now why is this important? This is what Muslims use to justify their pedophilic attraction to other children as boys. Because as I've noticed,
دستگیر فعلا کجا میرم ما شما؟
میریم اگه اون بچه پیدا میکنیم که با وزن برابر باشه، 12-13 ساله باشه، خوبش باشه.
باز شوانه هم کتیمو شما میباشه؟
بله ها. میگیم نمادر و پدرش میگیم که ما این شاگرد تربیه میکنیم.
باز اونا اجازه میتن؟
بله ها.
چی وعده چیزی وعده میکنیم؟
ایسا میتیم.
یعنی شما اکثرا بچه را میرین که وضع زندگیشان خوب نیست، غریب است؟
غریب است دیگه، این ناتوان نیست.
ششو میباشی؟
ایره شاگرد میگیرم نگاه میکنم.
اینا را از وقت میشناختی؟
نه نه.
Journalist Najibullah Qureshi is in Afghanistan to investigate the re-emergence of an ancient tradition banned under the Taliban which exploits young Afghan boys. Former warlords and powerful businessmen have revived what they call bacha bazi. It translates literally as boy play.
از کاسیتای بچه بازی کار داشتیم. I think if you're here, they say no. این اینجا داره نه؟ اینا چند است؟ ها؟ خوی نزمین ها ما کار داریم نه؟ همین بچه ها نیست؟ رقص بچه ها نیست؟ چی بچه هست؟ ما فیلم تا کار داریم. همین نیست؟ بچه بازی؟ حالا این بچه بازی اینجا فروشی خو ممانعت نیست. پلیس کار نیست.
آزاده اینجا.
این چند است؟
3 فیلم داره. 3 تا.
دیگه خو کل زنا معلوم میشه بچه.
بچه ها را.
نیست زن. خواندن کده بچه را. I just walked for 5 minutes, about 100 yards, and I bought 20 Dancing Boys DVDs from the Kabul street, and I've asked them, and they said it's legal, and you can buy, you can sell, and the audience mostly they saying that people who interest in boys, they will buy this kind of DVDs.
In a country where women are hidden behind the burqa, young boys take their place, dancing for men as female substitutes. But bacha bazi isn't just a bizarre form of entertainment. The boys are owned, often entrapped in a cycle of sexual slavery, and even murdered.
Struggling to rescue a young family member. Shireen's 13-year-old brother-in-law was kidnapped last summer. He's been a police commander's sex slave ever since.
If they were going to educate him in the police academy, it would have been great. But they are too young to fight. They are taking the boys only to have sex with them.
Shireen's story is far from an isolated one. In southern Helmand province, many families are scared their sons will become police sex slaves. It's a local practice known as bacha bazi, meaning literally boy play.
Police forces would knock on our door at midnight and ask for my little uncle. They would torture my grandfather. Finally, my uncle had to leave his school and escape from the village.
Families worry the captive boys will develop drug habits and get used to a culture of abuse. Freeing them, though, is complicated.
When they take a boy, then it is really difficult to find him. They keep taking him around and changing the place of the boy.
While the international community has called for an end to bacha bazi, Afghan authorities deny there is a problem at all.
Men dressed as women. Here in Pakistan, they're called khusras. Sana and Shizadi are paid to dance provocatively with men at parties. This evening, like in all traditional Pakistani weddings, the men and women are separated. The khusras are considered a third sex again. Inviting khusras is common, even if it isn't particularly Islamically appropriate.
No, we don't prefer with dancing with ladies because this is prohibited in Islam. We also are prohibited to dance with them, but they are enjoying us and we are enjoying with them. Okay? Because they are not females or not males.
तो अल्लाह का करा मेरे बेटे को हुआ कुछ नहीं अगर ये मर जाता तो मैं कहाँ से रहती
और मैं ठीक कपड़े करके और मुँह पे कहते ना वाल मैं रात को रोने रही हूँ सुबह से उसको मेरे दोस्त हैं
जरा मेन मकसद कड़ा है आम इत पुलिस गरीब बंदे की सुनती नहीं जरा बंदा हकदार ही होवे वो वैसी पुलिस नहीं सुनती और कैसी इतने पैसे गिना तुम्हारे हक केस करे तू
And now that we have got through just a small selection of contradictions and pedophilia in the Quran, now I want to show you evidence that the Kaaba in Mecca is not as old as Muslims believe it is and how it came about. First, I want to show you what the Muslims believe how the Kaaba was constructed in Mecca, and here it states. The Kaaba was a sanctuary in pre-Islamic times. Muslims believe that Abraham, known as Ibrahim in the Islamic tradition, and his son Ishmael constructed the Kaaba. The Quraysh tribe who ruled Mecca rebuilt the pre-Islamic Kaaba circa 608 CE with alternating courses of masonry and wood, and located in the eastern corner of the Kaaba is the Black Stone of Mecca. The Black Stone is one of the stones of the Kaaba. Its significance is that it is the only surviving stone from the original structure built by Abraham and Ishmael. It is known for sure that no benefit or harm can be received from the Black Stone. But this is where it gets strange. There is no mention of a black stone in any verse of the Quran, and if this stone was allegedly a piece of the stone that Abraham used to build the first Kaaba, on the instructions of Allah, that surely would have been in the Quran. Now this apparently is the oldest picture of the Kaaba, but when you zoom in, there is no trace of the black stone. As you can see here on a more recent picture of the Kaaba, you can see the black stone in the corner of the wall right beside the door. So it simply just don't add up. And bear in mind, the world's first ever photograph was taken in 1826 by this man Joseph Nicephore, so this photo can't be any older than the mid to late 1800s. And if the photo is during the 1800s, that proves that the stone has been put there recently, well after Muhammad or Ibrahim's time. Just before Muhammad's era, the Kaaba was officially dedicated to Habu, a Nabatean deity, and contained 360 idols which probably represented the days of the year. However, by the time of Muhammad's era, it seems that the Kaaba was venerated as a shrine of Allah. And also in the book it states, many Muslims and academic historians stress the power and importance of the pre-Islamic Mecca. They depict it as a city grown rich on the proceeds of the spice trade. Crone believes that this is an exaggeration and that Mecca may only have been an outpost for the trading with nomads for leather cloth and camel bar. Crone argues that if Mecca had been a well-known center for trade, it would have been mentioned by later authors such as Procopius and Nonnasus, or the Syrian church chroniclers writing in Syriac. The town is absent, however, from any known geographies or histories written in the 3 centuries before the rise of Islam. Let me explain a bit more because I don't want that to go over your heads. The book is basically stating that before the rise of Islam in the 7th century, 3 centuries before that, Mecca or the Kaaba wasn't even spoken or written about, which don't make no sense if Mecca and the Kaaba was meant to have been there since Abraham. Now I want to show you a little bit of Muhammad's background and the name of the tribe he was born and grown from, plus what they believed in before Muhammad was supposedly given the Quran. Muhammad was born into a culture where moon god worship was prevalent. More importantly, he was born into the Quraysh tribe, which are followers of the Arabian star family, whose chief deity was Allah. Now don't be fooled by that statement, because in Arabic, Allah means the God, and the Quran was supposedly given to Muhammad when he was at the age of 40 years old. Also, I would like to add, the Bible was written 1,850 years before the Quran, and the Torah is supposedly the first 5 books of the Bible. So what I'm basically saying is, way before Muhammad's birth, believing in a higher power was normal. And before Muhammad supposedly was given his first revelation, Muslims, including Muhammad in Medina, was praying towards Jerusalem. And I would like to prove it with this statement here. Prior to these revelations, Muhammad and the Muslims in Medina had prayed towards Jerusalem as the Qibla, the same direction as the prayer direction, the Mizara, used by the Jews of Medina. Pause that thought for a second. Before I show you how the Christians, Jews, and even Muslims of the same tribe of Muhammad felt about him being a prophet, I would like to show you how the same tribe Muhammad was born from had already their beliefs in a higher power called Allah, but the difference is they never believed Allah stood alone. The Quraysh are a mercantile Arab tribe that historically inhabited and controlled Mecca and its Kaaba. The Islamic prophet Muhammad was born into a Hashemite clan of the tribe. Despite this, many of the Quraysh staunchly opposed Muhammad until converting to Islam in 630 AD. Afterward, leadership of the Muslim community traditionally passed to a member of the Quraysh. Now I want to show you a statement here that basically states that the Arabian star family, the same tribe which Muhammad came from, believed that Allah had a wife and 2 daughters. And bear in mind once again, Muhammad supposedly didn't receive the first revelation until he was 40 years old. So that must mean all through his teens, his 20s and 30s, he was believing in the same beliefs as the tribe he came from. But let's move on. The 2 main religions of Arabia, the Jinn religion and the star family religion. In the star family religion, Allah was the biggest star, his wife was the sun, and his daughter were Manat and Al-Uzza, each representing a planet. The Kahan, who presented the Jinn religion to Arabians who practiced other pagan religions, such as the worship of the Arabian star family, were accepted by the people who considered the Quran to be gods. The tribe of Quraysh considered Iblis another name for the devil, and Allah to be brothers. Now I've basically just shown you that most of Muhammad's life, and even before him, the Muslims didn't believe Allah stood alone and prayed towards Jerusalem before Mecca and the Kaaba was constructed. Muhammad was a merchant until the age of 40 when he supposedly became a prophet. But what the Hebrews and the Christians of Muhammad's time believed until this day is that Muhammad remixed their books to make himself a prophet. Hence the reason in the Torah and the Quran, the stories are near enough the same, just changed up a little in some different characters. Same as the Bible. But note, the Torah and the Bible don't mention nothing about a Quran, but the Quran mentions the Torah and the Bible. And the Hebrews and Christians made it noticeable that they didn't agree with Muhammad as a prophet, nor did his tribe. Now coming to the end of this documentary, I just want a quick summary so nothing goes over your head. I've shown you contradictions and inconsistencies in the Quran, which if this is really the word of Allah, there shouldn't be any at all. Shown you words that shouldn't be in the Quran because it's not Arabic, which in a verse in the Quran it says it's written in straight Arabic, which shows you they must have been taking stories from different books to remix their own. Shown you that in 3 centuries before the rise of Islam, in the 7th century there was no Mecca or Kaaba, which proves Abraham couldn't have constructed the Kaaba. Showed you how similar the Quran is to the Torah and the Bible, and showed you how the Christians and Hebrews felt towards Muhammad calling himself a prophet. And the last thing I want to show you, especially if you're non-Arabic, that Allah supposedly chose the Arabs as the chosen people. So basically, if you're not Arab, Allah don't fuck with you.
Let me show y'all how stupid y'all are. If y'all go to the Quran, right? The Quran says that Allah chooses Arabs over all mankind. Now watch this. chapter 3, verse 33, okay, in the Quran states, truly Allah chose Adam and Noah and the descendants of Abraham and of Imran above all mankind. It says above all mankind. It says that Allah chose the descendants of Abraham above all mankind. Now, Adam is a descendant of Shem. Shem in the Bible is considered the Middle East, which is the Arabs. Ham in the Bible is considered black people. Okay, it's considered Africa, Canaan, Southeast Asia, etc. Japheth is considered Europe and Asia. And so according to the Quran, okay, the descendants of Shem are the chosen people above all mankind. And we know that Shem, okay, went on to become Shemite, which today is Semite, which is Semitic. Okay, Arabic is considered a Semitic language. And we know that the Quran says that Arabs, okay, are above all mankind.
Now it's down to you to do your own research and come up with your own conclusion. If tomorrow morning I make a claim that an angel of God had appeared to me in the night and told me to write a new holy book and to call it the final and ultimate scriptures for the whole world, would you accept what I say? You would laugh at me. You would call me delusional. You might even challenge me to show some form of proof or evidence. If I couldn't offer any evidence, what would you call me? A lunatic. Maybe even a liar. Is there any difference? I don't need a reason.